The tide of Roman conquest surged notably towards the close of the 3rd century BC, inevitably leading to a collision with the Greek war as it advanced into the eastern Mediterranean. Over the span of more than a century, the Republic found itself entangled in conflict across Greece and Asia Minor, with one of the most pivotal being the clash with the Seleucid Empire, famously known as the Syrian War. This historic conflict reached its climax at the Battle of the Magnesia. Rome's origin dates back to 753 BC in the Apennine Peninsula, initially under the monarchical rule before transitioning to a republic in 509. Although its territorial expansion commenced slowly, by the 3rd century BC, Rome had asserted control over much of Peninsula. The Republic encountered its first significant challenge in the form of 2 grueling wars against Carthage, collectively known as the Punic Wars. During the middle of the century, despite initial setbacks, Rome emerged victorious, solidifying its dominance in the central and western Mediterranean. With the Macedonian kingdom aligning with the Carthage, Rome found pretext to intervene in Greek affairs, while the Seleucid Empire, founded by one of the Alexander's successors, Alexander, emerged as a formidable power in the east, spanning from India to Anatolia and the Levant. In 203 BC, Antiochus III, the new Seleucid ruler, forged an alliance with Philip V of Macedon. However, instead of aiding Philip V against the Romans during the Second Macedonian War, Antiochus focused on expanding his territories in Syria and Asia Minor, provoking Rome's ire. Following Rome's victory over Philip V, they introduced the freedom of the Greeks policy and withdraw their forces. Deeming their eastern border secure, this vacuum of power enticed Antiochus to exploit the situation, further encouraged by Hannibal, Rome's perennial adversary, who had sought refuge in the Seleucid court. Concurrently, the Aetolian League, once Roman allies, grew wary of increasing Latin influence in Greece, gravitating toward the Seleucids. Seizing upon this tension, Rome deployed legions to Greece, suppressing anti-Roman sentiments in Sparta in 195 BC. Antiochus capitalized on Greek anxieties, prompting the Aetolian League to invite him as a liberator in 192 BC. Crossing the Hellespont, Antiochus advanced through Thessaly, besieging Larissa. Meanwhile, Rome marshaled its influence to dissuade Macedon and Achaean League from sliding into the Seleucids. Under the command of Appius the Claudius, Roman legions stationed in Greece maneuvered closer to Thessaly. Unaware of the true strength of Roman forces, Antiochus retreated to the islands of Euboea upon encountering a small Roman contingent near Larissa, where his army wintered. This proved to be a fatal misstep, as the Romans capitalized on the pause to transfer over 20,000 of their troops from Bruttium to Apollonia in the spring of 191 BC, with the bulk of the Seleucid army still in Asia. Antiochus found himself in a precarious position, commanding just over 10,000 soldiers against the 30,000 to 40,000 Romans. Despite this naval superiority in the Aegean Sea, Antiochus chose to confront the Roman legions at the renowned Thermopylae, if I'm not butchering that, instead of retreating to Asia, banking on reinforcements. The said name, as flanked by the sea on one side and swamps on the other, offered a strategic advantage. Antiochus, aware of the historic significance of the 2 mountain passes used by the Persians to outflank the Spartans, positioned his Aetonian allies to block these routes. Roman general Manius Achilles Calabrio dispatched 2 tribunes to assault these passages, and although one group faltered, the second overwhelmed the Aetonians. The Roman forces facing the Thermopylae passage launched a frontal assault, meeting fierce resistance from the Seleucid phalanx, which momentarily pushed them back. However, the sight of the Aetolians retreated from one of the mountain passes prompted panic among the Seleucid ranks, leading to their eventual rout as Roman forces overtook them, resulting in the slaughter or capture of most of the Antiocus groups. The king himself fled at the first sign of trouble, retreating straight back to Euboea. The defeat reshaped the diplomatic landscape, prompting the Aetonians to seek a separate peace, while Pergamon and Rhodes forged alliance with Rome, undermining Seleucid naval dominance. This shift proved pivotal, as subsequent naval defeat to the Rhodanians in Eurymedon and at the combined Roman-Rhodanian fleet's capture of Magnesia, rendering the Seleucid capable of threatening Greece or Italy. Meanwhile, the Romans and their allies seized the initiative to launch a counteroffensive. Exploiting their advantage, the Romans, led by Lucius Cornelius Scipio, marched through Macedonia and the Thrace into Asia Minor in 190 BC. Despite Antiochus' attempts at negotiation, the Roman terms were deemed unacceptable, leaving him no option but to engage in the battle. The king gradually retreated southeastward, establishing camp in Magnesia near modern-day Manisa in Turkey. By mid-December, Roman forces approached the Seleucid encampment. According to Roman historians, Antiochus commanded over 17,000 troops, including 12,000 cavalry and 54 elephants, while the Romans and their allies from the Pergamon, Macedon, and Thrace numbered 30,000. This strategic decision baffles the Romans, as there was no compelling reason for them to engage in a battle against an army double their size, suggesting a deliberate pursuit of confrontation. Modern historians speculate that both armies fielded approximately 15,000 troops each. The clash occurred on December 22, 190 BC, northwest of city of Magnesia, situated between the rivers Phrygios and Hermos. The Seleucids positioned themselves with the Hermos on their left and the Phrygios on their right, while the Romans and their allies faced the Phrygios on their left flank and rear, and the Hermos on their right. The Roman infantry, predominantly composed of Romans and their Italic allies, formed the center and left flank, organized in the traditional tripex aces formation, with young hasty at the forefront, followed by more seasoned principals and veteran terrieri forming the rear rank. The right flank was held by Rome's Hellenic allies, comprising Greek peltasts and heavy cavalry. Although the Romans possessed 16 North African elephants, their commanders opted against deploying them due to their smaller size and less aggressive nature compared to the Indian elephants of Antiochus. The Seleucid center featured 10 units of traditional Macedonian phalanx, augmented by 2 units of Galatanian allies. With elephants interseparated between these formations, each flank of Antiochus' army boosted 14,000 heavy cavalry, including cataphracts with 16 elephant positions behind each group of cavalry. Antiochus positions a contingent of chariots before his left flank, accompanied by groups of missile infantry on both wings. Additionally, both armies deployed an undisclosed number of light missile troops ahead of their heavy cavalry. The engagement commenced with the Seleucid chariots charging the Roman right flank, only to be met with a barrage of slings, arrows, and pileup from the missile units, forcing the chariots into panicked retreat. This panic rippled through the Antiochus left flank, exacerbated when Roman heavy cavalry and allied peltasts assailed the Seleucid cataphracts, causing them to scatter in disarray, ultimately meeting their demise. However, the Roman flank faced significant challenges as it came under attack by cavalry and light infantry, spearheaded by the Antiochus himself. A small squadron of Roman cavalry was swiftly defeated, compelling the defending legion to retreat back to camp. Despite the Seleucid light infantry briefly overrunning the camp, the legionaries regrouped and held their ground with the reinforcements from Macedonian allies. Meanwhile, the phalanx lacking the cavalry support on both flanks found itself encircled and overwhelmed. Antiochus' ill-fated assault on the Roman camp left his center vulnerable to encirclement. Although the disciplined warriors within the phalanx attempted to retreat to safety off the camp, they were relentlessly assaulted by infantry, cavalry, and missile unit. Antiochus' belated attempt to reinforce the center proved futile, as the Roman pressed their attack on the Seleucid camp, prompting the king's hasty retreat to Sardis. The Seleucids suffered significant losses, while Roman casualties remained minimal, compelling Antiochus to seek peace. A treaty was brokered in 188 BC in Apamea, obliging the Seleucids to pay 15,000 golden talents and relinquish all holdings in Asia Minor. With the Taurus mountain marking the new frontier, former Seleucid territories were partitions between the Pergamon and Rhodes. Moreover, Antiochus and his progeny were prohibited from engaging in warfare in Europe or the Aegean Sea, with their naval capacity restricted to 10 large ships. This marked the decline of the Seleucid Empire. Thank you for watching.